If you have a tight budget, but you want to use influencers to go viral, then you have to understand, what should you pay them? What are the standards in terms of what they're worth? Are they worth it in the first place? Do they make sense for you as an artist? There's so many factors, and we've done billions, literally billions of views when it comes to influencer campaigns, made artists go viral, made artists really break legitimately.
Yeah.
So in today's episode, we're gonna show you the game, the things that we've done, so hopefully you can apply it for yourself. Let's get to it. All right, first, we're gonna start with price, because that's what everybody wants to know. What do I pay these people in the first place? And there's a couple of standards. There is no perfect answer. There's a lot of different moving factors, and you will see the real factors. We're gonna get into the real after we touch on the basics. Number one, $100 per 100,000 views. That is a really good baseline to start with, right? That doesn't mean you enter and you make your first offer on that, but at least you know that you're dealing with some type of decent potential for return at that number. That means 100,000 views is being their average, I'll pay them $100. If 1 million views is their average views, then $1,000 isn't out of the question. It doesn't mean you offer them that again, but it means it's not out of the question and you're not getting robbed if you make that offer, right? With that being said, how do we make it a little bit more strategic, and how do we know if it's worth it for you? One method is, if you've ever ran ads before, you can compare it to your ads performance. Corey, you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So one of the basic KPIs on all ad platforms is a cost per view, and cost per view typically changes from platform to platform. So your meta ad cost per view is probably going to be different than your YouTube ad cost per view, and so on. So if you're looking to figure out how does this price work within my operation, right, within what I'm used to getting for the money that I'm used to spending, then yeah, you can go in, look at your Facebook ad. Hey, I'm usually getting a penny cost per view, or 3 cents cost per view, or 10 cents, or whatever that looks like. Work out the average of the influencers, view count. Look at their last 6-10 posts, get their view count, get the average out, and then just compare the price to, calculate the cost per view based on that price, and just see if that stacks up with your ad cost. So if you calculate that price and this influencer works out to be about 8 cents per view, but you on average are getting a penny per view for your ads, then, that might be something that to consider. But on the other hand, if their numbers average out to what you get for your ads, or cheaper, then you know for sure that you probably come across a gold mine. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So for example, this influencer right here, looking at her page, literally, you wouldn't look at these pinned posts, right?
Yeah, no, okay, everybody gonna put the biggest post at the top. Yeah. So you would add up all the views, divide by 6, that gives you the average view count, and then you would take the view count divided by the price, and then that would give you the cost per view.
There we go.
Yeah. But to that point, that is a strategy where like you can't really do it until you have had the conversation, until you do get the price, right? You can ballpark it with what Sean said, right? Hey, they're getting 1 million views, so maybe I can expect at least 1,000. Okay, 1,000 would be something that's fair for me. But then you hear back from them, right? Hey, they really want 1,500. Now you can accurately run through the formula.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It gives you something to work off of. Actually, real quick, we interrupt this video with some more ideas or just specifications that you need to consider with influencers and how you pay them. Now, don't feel like you're being violated if somebody's not getting a whole bunch of views and they're charging way outside of this equation. If you realize, oh, wait, the production cost of their video is something that needs to be respected because it's probably expensive.
Yep.
We'll give you a quick examples. My first example is makeup influencers.
Oh yeah.
They're using real product.
Yeah.
Right. So there's an actual cost to the video, not just recording. You might think, oh, it looks like you're recording off your phone, but still they're using product, which means they had to pay for, and then there's a cost to it. So that's just one thing. In makeup, wait, that stuff ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap.
Just to be real. But I know you have some examples as well.
Oh yeah, like I gave the example of I can't think of the guy's name, but like he builds like mechanical robot suits and like different gadgets and stuff. So then you start thinking about the time to make the gadget, you know what I'm saying, the cost of the material and lining it up that way. It's like bro might have created a $3,000 product just for your video, you know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
And you see it a lot more with influencers that like create usually are creating something they're like skill based. You mentioned makeup artists. I think about like painters and like tattoo artists and like a lot of like service based influencers, creative type influencers, like construction or mechanical based type influencers.
Yeah, like there's a guy who does like these really elaborate mazes that he creates and is knocking one thing over that takes real time.
Yeah, bro, tax for that.
Yes, he does. He very, very much so does. Or even somebody who's just doing an exorbitant amount of edits, right? So it's so many transitions and things going on, the amount of time that goes into that. So you also have to understand and respect if there's a legitimate craft there, and understand if they understand their value, you're probably going to end up getting charged more. And of course, still based on your budget, etc., you're going to have to decide, are you comfortable with that or not? And we'll figure out where we put this in the video, but wherever it is, back to it. All right, so now that we have some type of baseline to think about pricing, the most important part of all this is 100% you. What's going to work for you and what influencer is going to work for you? Like what makes sense for your campaign? And just to give you a reference on how one of these things can be better than another, I can get a post on Ja'Cory's page, and for me, it only does 100,000 views, but for somebody else, it does 1 million views when Ja'Cory gets posted on their page, right? I could also get 1 million views off of Ja'Cory's page, and the other person gets 1 million views off of Ja'Cory's page, but their post actually has an impact for them, while my post on Ja'Cory's page doesn't have an impact for me, right? So these little nuances are why a lot of artists end up paying for promo, and then they end up not seeing the impact they want to because they think it's so simple. I just need to get a lot of views. You can get less views and a greater impact. You can get an influencer that isn't popping at all culturally with the right type of post and get a greater impact than somebody who costs 5 times the amount. These are some of the factors that we're going to walk through in terms of why they work like this and some of the things you want to think about. One of those things that you want to think about is what type of content works for them. Now, a lot of people have a specific type of content. Like if I'm a music curator, I talk about music all the time. So that's what works. And that is literally the type of content on my page. It's probably why you're reaching out, right? If I do reviews, if I do dances, you already know, oh yeah, dancing is my main thing. That's what you're going to reach out for. So it's not really for those people that it's a problem. Right, the problem comes when it's somebody who's more of a variety or lifestyle type of influencer. Because there's so many different types of posts on their page. So this is what you have to start to look through, and it can get pretty complicated. One of the things that we'll do, we'll go to this influencer's page, Pontiac Made TT. She has a lot of different types of posts. You know, we would qualify her as more of a lifestyle. There's nothing super specific on her page, right? So what do? You start to go and look at posts that have the most views, no matter who it is. Just say, oh, their videos perform well. And then you start to look for a consistency. Is there something that they're always doing in the posts that do well? Maybe you find that thing. There's something that's a little bit different with her though. She is so various in the types of posts that she posts in particular. And there's nothing super consistent. Like whenever she does this, it goes viral, except for a couple of things. One, she has a post like with some of her friends who are viral and influencers. Those always do better. The ones with her boyfriend tend to do pretty well as well. So you can say, hey, maybe I'll use her for a couple song or something like that, or a couple moment or a couple idea, and that'll perform well for her. Now, some people, if you try to negotiate to get their significant other or somebody else to be in the video outside of them, they might charge you more. And technically, that's a valid reason. Some people won't. Right? But
extra labor.
Extra labor. Or maybe I might have to split it. You know, you might not even say that, but as a manager, I know I'm not going to split this, but I'm still going to let you use that as an argument. That's something to consider. But there's also other nuances. Like when I go through enough of her posts, something that's really significant with her and her audience that she doesn't even take full advantage of is her hair.
I was just about to say that. Her engagement shoots up every time she changes her hair.
Every time she changes her hair, if you look at all of her content, her comments, there's so many comments about her hair over and over again where that's not even the point of the post, right? I don't know if I'm just going to click this one and see. Like she happens to be touching her hair in this video. CT, hair is dope. You look good. So it's all about her looks and her, what she's, her outfits are and all that stuff. But oftentimes you see mentioning her hair. So me, if I had like a hair care brand, or if I had a hair trend, like maybe they're flipping their hair, it's something around it, then I would slide that in, and I guarantee you would see a different level of performance. Right. And it's so small, but there's so many things like this when it comes to influencers. If you can notice, like, what do people like about them? What do the people who like them like about them? And for artists, that's actually something y'all got to get good at as well for yourselves.
Yeah, because the influencers very rarely know.
Right. The influencers very rarely know, but even the artists, like when we talk about the branding, artists who once y'all start getting an audience, y'all don't understand what people like about y'all either.
Yeah, facts.
Right.
Yeah,
So
actually,
y'all starting to do this for other people is actually going to help you in return, because it's such a nuanced thing that you might completely miss it. What's up, everybody? I'm happy to announce that if you're looking for one-on-one help with your marketing, your branding, your rollouts, we are back open for enrollment with our once-a-year program where we work with artists directly or their teams to help build out strategies for the marketing. We dig into your branding. We dig into your music. We can listen to your music, help you with management situations if that's something that you need, contracts, all of those things. But the crux of this is we want to take you to your next level. Many of the biggest case studies that y'all have heard us mention typically come from this program, where we're talking about working with me and or Corey directly. So if you want that insight, you can check out the link below this video. You can also go to nolabelsnecessary.com/gold or in the podcast description, wherever you're listening, and make us an additional part of your team. So when you look at that link, you'll see the ability to schedule a call immediately, or if spots for the calls are already filled up, you'll have to hop on the wait list. Just to let you know, literally half of the spots are already taken at the time I'm recording this, and that's your fault if you're not on our email list. So you're just now finding out about this, because we usually hit our email list up first. Make sure you hop on that in the future. But long story short, if you want to work with us directly, one-on-one, hit us up. Link in the description. Now, moving beyond understanding what type of content, because this completely varies, by the way. Yes, it's hair with her. Somebody else, it might be their outfits. Somebody else, it might be a relationship. Sometimes somebody else, it might be whenever they have their mom in their videos. Somebody else, it might be whenever they're outside, when they're on an instrument. Like some of it might be their body, like whenever they're twerking, their twerk videos go viral, but then they want to charge you and not twerking that particular video, and maybe that doesn't make sense for you. Right? So it's like these are the things that you have to look at, because a lot of times it creates more risk for you to just say, hey, do this, and then they not do the thing that actually works for them, especially if you assume. Right? Let's just say their mom is in most of the videos, or a lot of their videos lately, but that's still not their thing. It's not like it's a review channel with two people who are always there and they're the staples of the channel together.
Yeah.
I just happen to have my mom in my videos lately, right? But this is my channel. So then if you pay me, you're going to assume that the mom is there and she's not there. And now there's this disconnect because you didn't create this expectation up front. And it's actually on you at that point. In terms of the money, it's not them like finessing you because they just say, I'm going to do it easier, or my mom's out of town or something like that, or she doesn't make sense to this for me. It's on you for not communicating that. And it's kind of hard to pull it back, in my opinion. Yeah,
no, I agree. Yeah, because it's a good point. Because, I mean, even outside of thinking of it from like their thing, sometimes you'll see an artist try to like force a concept or an idea on an influencer. Right, it's really popular with trend campaigns. I want to make this influencer dance because she has a lot of followers, even though she's never danced before. And then the post goes up, and you get 20K views where they usually get 200K, and you're confused, and it's like, no, the audience is also confused right now. And that's why you only got exactly. That's why you only got a tenth of the viewership. So now that's a really good point.
Now there's some more when it comes to getting into those nuances of what works best for them and how do you know what to tell them to do. That gets a lot more advanced. All right, so we're just gonna keep it there on that point from now. And once you get good at that, then you'll probably start noticing some of the other patterns, or hit us up. We'll have a conversation. Maybe can help you analyze a particular influencer for you. But also, next is different types of value. This is so underrated.
Yeah,
so underrated because people just think about influencers in one way. I'm gonna pay them. They're gonna post and they're gonna go super viral. And this is the superficial way of looking at social media in general that gets a lot of artists in trouble, even for their own post. I work with artists where for their own post, they look at it as if I don't get a lot of views, I don't win. They don't even understand the value of different types of posts that get different types of views and the different types of impact it has on the audience. So they end up using their own page worse than it should be as an artist, let alone doing this. So when we talk through this, maybe you'll also understand how to see yourself differently as well. That's the common thing, bro. If you understand how to analyze an influencer, you start to look at your own page differently.
Yeah, but we all got the superpower of hindsight, man, or whatever it is. But I agree, and it really is a good example, because I mean, I know it's deviating a little bit, but you know, sometimes these influencers and things are working on stuff that you will have to work on eventually, but they are steps ahead of you. So it's like this is the closest you can sometimes get to be able to study some things that you know you will have to do eventually. So 100%. I do agree with that. Yeah.
So what do we mean by this? Well, just pretend in a not best case scenario, you got 0 views on an influencer's post. Does that mean it's not valuable at all? No. There's actually still value if in an extreme environment you got no views, but it's understanding that, and sometimes you strategically pursue it with this in mind, or you might want every benefit. So what are the value points? 1, you might want them to just simply create a trend. Maybe you have a dance, right? And you want somebody to do a dance, and you can pay this person $50, $100 to create a dance, and then share it with every other influencers that you want to get posted and tell them this is the dance to do, right? But you were able to get them to create the dance for cheap. Project outside of social media for a second. You know, people in general make a mistake and realize like what real life looks like. Imagine if you didn't have to do with TikTok, you didn't have to do with any of the social media, and you just said, yo, I need to come up with a dance. I cannot dance, or I'm not good at creative dancing. Let me go find a person to help me come up with the dance. The fact that you got this person to come up with the dance, you paid them, that's worth paying them for, period. And then them getting a post on social media, that's extra. But we only look at stuff in terms of views, so we don't understand the value of all this other stuff. Now, when you get views on top of they came up with the dance, that's why this TikTok stuff is so crazy and why it changed the game, and not the fact that reels and everything works like this now. You got people doing work that normally had no association with like marketing and views, and now they're doing all of that. They're producing it. You don't have to show with the camera, any of that stuff. Right? And get and you're able to get it. So remember that. You just saved the time, production, casting, all these different things by just having somebody do come up with something. So if you have an idea, it doesn't have to be a dance. It could literally be any type of a humor, a skit, like any type of video that you would like to kind of set a precedent for how you would like other people to act to your video, to your song. It can be worth it, especially if they aren't that expensive.
Yeah, exactly. It's like contracting a mini production studio to help you create the pilot. You know what I'm saying? Like that's exactly what it feels like.
When you're looking to pay somebody to shoot your music video, you're not thinking about how many views their music videos will get, because you're gonna post it on your own channel. So that's a perfect way to think about it. All right, so the second thing is you might want to use an influencer to represent a demographic that you would like to associate yourself with. So what does that look like? Well, maybe I want a bunch of people who dress up like anime style, right? Cosplayers to wear, like to look like I'm in that community. So I pay a bunch of these people. These people don't necessarily get a lot of views, and I don't necessarily pay them that much because I'm not paying them for views, but now I have them doing stuff to my song specific that I can't just rip and throw my song on the back of. And now I can actually spread that on other pages, this collection of people doing stuff to my video, right? And then the same thing, what if I did that? And if I was like an artist who's trying to pretend that I'm cool, like I'm one of the young underground artists, and guys like my music, but girls like my stuff too. So I pay a bunch of girls to do something to my music, right? Like they just like the music, not like performing or twerking or anything, like literally like they legit just love my music. And now I go post on some underground page, and then I do a carousel with a bunch of girls posting to my music, right? And no one cares or even knows if they got a big following or not. They're not even thinking about their credibility on that level. They just see, wow, there are a bunch of girls. So I'm selling this idea, which is the third thing, right, of who I am as a brand. All right, like oh man, like he's an artist who makes underground music, but girls like him too, or but the anime community rocks with her too. But whatever the idea I'm trying to sell of myself, like you can use these people to position yourself and make it feel real, like a testimonial.
Yeah, no, that was real, man. That was the high level game right there, right? Like in order to break beyond the ceiling of like what we see as traditional influencer campaigns, which a lot of people do feel like it's starting to get stale, right? Like it's kind of the complaints with influencers, but it literally is being able to see the play beyond the influencer post, right? Like understanding like what else can I do with this? What other narratives do I want to spin, right? Like Sean said, hey, I want the world to think that women are really rocking with my music. And, you know, statistically speaking, you probably do have women in your fan base that rock with it, right? So I want to amplify and make it seem like there are more, or maybe even really show light on that. So I'm going to
feel represented.
Yeah, exactly. Or even that, it could be as simple as that. I just want them to know that I see y'all. You know what I'm saying? I see y'all supporting me. And so I'm going to take 3 months to go rack up a bunch of really good women influencer posts so that way on month 4 I can run this narrative and it looks really strong because I've been planting the seeds with all these different posts. Like that type of stuff is like very, very high level influencer marketing strategy, understanding that the influencer post I pay for in March is going to help me paint a narrative in May. You know what I'm saying? Or like the influencer post I do in April is going to give me social proof into a community. So when I do this play in July, it doesn't look weird. You know what I'm saying? It looks like, oh, well, this community has always been rocking with me, or they've been building up and showing me support. Now I can go do the anime collab. You know what I'm saying? Because I rock with the cosplayers for the past 3-4 months, you know? And that also goes a long way. You know, we've talked a lot about taking over a community and making a community not only feel like seen and heard by you, but also starting to feel like a sense of FOMO within the community, right? If I'm a cosplay influencer and I see that Sean, another cosplayer, has been going viral to these sounds, I'm like, man, now I want to get on that, right? And like you're able to kind of like milk and manipulate that world. And like, you know, the bigger point is create the conversation just by like understanding what's going to be the second play, the third play, the fourth play.
100%. That's why it's so important to actually understand what your brand is.
Yeah.
And then the strategy that's associated with that.
Yeah. Because
you're not going to even think about some of these long-term moves or understand the value of influencers beyond views if you don't even know what your own brand is.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, like some of it isn't going to be that deep. You know, like Sean said in the beginning, some influencers or some of your campaigns are going to be very black and white. You know, I do care about views, right? We talk about like the music curators and the reactionaries, like those accounts, like I do care a lot more about views. You know what I'm saying? Like you want 100K views out there, God is telling people to go listen to your music. But going back to the play, the game plan, the brand narrative, we are a lot of times, I wouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times willing to take those engagement hits because this influencer gave us a really good video that executes the concept we wanted exactly, right? Like I paid 100%. People like, yo, this guy has 4,000 followers. He gonna post his video. It's gonna get 1,700 views. But hey, bro, put some energy and some time and some creativity into this, and I appreciate you for it because I'm gonna go milk the hell out of this post on like a shade room post or something in 2 weeks anyway. So I ain't really tripping about that, you know?
Right. That is a fact, right? And sometimes you can pay a cheaper influencer and then a page on social media, like a publication page, and it'll still be cheaper than just paying that big influencer.
Yeah, facts.
And the cheaper influencer who's not really that popping but matches what you need to put out, they might not go that viral because of their algorithm, not their content, but their algorithm isn't yet set to go viral. But when you put it on that page, that other page that already has this algorithm intact and it's for the right audience, it'll take off. Yeah. Right? Let's move on. If you look at a couple of these influencers, just for an example of what Corey said, actually, before we go to the next thing that's going to be really important, so y'all make sure y'all stay. When we talk about influencers that actually focus on the music, right? You have this page, where's Bridging the Gap. It's a father and son duo, I believe.
Yep.
Son is playing the music for his dad. I'm going to do something like this at some point. Get my dad, man. Get him a side gig. But they're playing the music. There's an explicit value because, you know, if I get on this page, I might have 50,000 views on here, but people are on this page to listen to the music.
Yep.
They're being impressed specifically by the music, where if I'm passively in the background of a video where somebody's just getting ready in the mirror, doesn't mean that those videos don't work, but that's a different type of campaign. So you might misjudge the value of something like this, right? So when you start having a deeper explicit impact, now I might be able to go a little bit more expensive on whatever my normal price is. We already talked about a baseline in the beginning of this video, but it's like, okay, yeah, like people, when they go to this page, they're listening to see what he's listening to, right? Another example, this page here, Tyler Walsh, he has a lot of dope interviews, like these really quick on the street interviews where it's like, hey, are you an artist? What kind of, like, what do you do for a living or whatever? Ask him a couple quick questions. And it's a really straightforward interview segment that, one, is valuable for an artist because now it's like you're getting interviewed and people get to learn a little information about you.
Yeah.
Right? You get to call out a song oftentimes in these videos.
Yep.
Right? So it's giving people more about you from a brand standpoint.
Yep.
That value looks very different than, hey, I'm just throwing somebody some money. And again, I'm hopefully, if it doesn't go viral, there is no value. Even if this doesn't go viral, right? I can then, because Tyler has a brand consistency about himself, right? And people understand and have seen this type of video. I can take this and then get this put on another page.
Yep.
And it's going to feel like, hey, I'm important enough for somebody to interview me, right? There's other different values that I can place in my, and then from your fans think you're more serious because other people seem to think you're serious.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I got a lot of followers, because people use that like for the bots and stuff back in the day. Oh, you got other streams and stuff. That's one type of value. But if your fans see that, again, the music world, the other parts of the job are also things that you're doing. You're on a stage.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, people are interviewing you.
Yep, the streams are going up. All that
Yeah,
stuff.
like those very simple things. Like, I know what I do when I go to my job. To them, this is an artist's job. It's like, oh, you're serious when they see these things. So that actually elevates your value in ways that you can't account for. And then if they can also say, oh man, this platform, this is a platform that these other artists are on. Again, it elevates your own seriousness.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. And you know, I even further the point. Platforms like this a lot of times give you the opportunity to say and do things that like most artists don't feel comfortable saying and doing on their own platform. You know, like we were joking about an artist off camera that we know on this platform. We was like, damn, we didn't know, bro, came from that type of lifestyle and that type of background. Yes. And like, I don't know if I ever would have got that out of just his music. You know what I'm saying? And so there is sometimes that value where you're looking at a space and going like, okay, does this space, does this platform, does this influencer allow me to do something that I couldn't normally do? Or, cause you know, artists, that's always a weird conversation. Yeah, they could have did it on their own platform. They just didn't for whatever reason. But you know what I'm saying? But even sometimes as marketers, we look at it like that, right? All right, I can't get this artist to do this on his own platform, but for whatever reason, if I link him up with this influencer, he basically does exactly what I needed him to do anyway. Win-win for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still get what I need out of the situation.
Sometimes you got to create the environment.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? That's all it is. That's all it is. But to your point as well, there are brand implications for doing it on another page versus doing it on your own page as well. So there's always something to consider. Just make sure you understand how to measure from that type of value. One last page we'll go over. We actually had the Madam Zay page up a little bit earlier, but she dances, like does these incredible dances, hilarious dances, but they're hard at the same time to music. Every single video almost is like her dancing to a song, right?
Yeah.
So there's two ways of understanding the value here. One, you know people are going to be paying a lot of attention to the song that she dances to because of the style that she does. There's a lot of dances where it's like, oh, this person is hard just because they're dancing, and they might get a lot of views, but it's a lot more about how amazing they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the technique and all this stuff. But you get a lot of that from her, from a personality. People do follow her because of the personality she puts into her dance, right? But because of the things she does being so specific to the actual lyrics of the song, they force people to listen to the song as well. Yeah. Right now, look, copyrights and stuff. We're not gonna play this music. You can just go to these pages to think about the stuff that we're saying. You know, we got it all. Oh shoot, we don't have this one shared on the screen. We got it shared on the screen. You know, Madam Zay, shout out to her or whatever. You can look it on the page, pause the screen, and type it in. But again, if you go through her music, it's very specific to whatever's happening in the song. Like she's reinforcing it with her move. And when she does her move, it's probably going to be something funny or interesting. So you're going to listen back to it, or you're going to rewatch the video and then pair them together even more and think about how perfect they go together. And it causes people to watch over and over and over again. And at the same time, what is it doing? Drilling that song in your head. Yeah. Hey man, you can't ask for any more than that. Now, with that being said, another thing to look through when you're talking about these influencers, where can they have impact? You kind of think through some of this stuff already when you think about the different types of value that they have in general. Like, they post and because they talk about music or they dance to music or all those different things. But you also want to start thinking about what type of music do they post to. I was looking at this young lady's page right here, Saves Right. And if you go through enough of her videos, and the ones that also are performing well, it tends to be country music, right? Why is that important that you actually go look at the videos and the type of music specifically that she personally posts to? What do you think?
The music they use, music is a personality signifier. Music is almost like a bat signal to the rest of your tribe, right? I can assume that if I'm watching if I like country music and I'm watching an influencer that uses country music in her music, I can assume that that's something we both relate to. So if she's using country music for the majority of her videos, I have to assume that most of her audience is country music fans.
Yeah, appreciates it. At the very least,
yeah.
It's not going to feel, and it's also not going to feel out of place, right? Or maybe you only see country music perform best and the other one's not. So then that also says something.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, that's what I look at.
Hey, the country music performs well. Also, like especially like more pop ballads performs pretty well on her. So you understand that, one, that works well for our audience, probably because those people are going to follow people that are similar to them. But then also you want the influencer that you reach out to like the type of music
that's a big one
that you want her to actually market, right? Like, you want them to appreciate it because you will see it in their attitude. You might hit them in a moment in time where that money might help. So they'll take a song that they don't necessarily love. But boy, when they do that video, you can see the love or the lack thereof all over their face and their actions, unless they're just extremely professional and, you know, above and beyond. But you don't come across those every day.
And even then, the music still got to be good, man, because you can break that character sometimes with with the wrong song.
That is a fact. Even within the same genre, if it's not good enough for them. So that's also just like, is it good enough? If the influencer doesn't like it, or it's not their thing, they also might not even know what to do to this type of music. You know what I mean? Like what works. There's lingo, right? There's cultural communication that happens that somebody from outside of that bubble wouldn't even understand or think to do, that they're going to do naturally, right? And you get to borrow that, right, just by putting that person on. And lingo, by the way, is another thing to get a sense of, are they in your community? Do they need to understand your community? Do they have a relevance in your niche as well? All right, so outside of the fact that they might be in your niche as just a regular person by the type of music they use, the style that they dress, all these little things that hint towards whatever your audience is, there's also people who might have a certain relevance within your niche. All right, not just a big influencer. People think, oh, I'm going to pay this person with 1 million followers, 2 million followers, and when they post, it's going to be up. But you can have somebody with 2 million followers in this big fragmented world, and nobody in your niche even knows who that person is.
Yeah, crazy, but it does happen.
All right, and nobody who is in your niche and sees that post from that person, let's just say they happen to see it, they're not gonna go, ooh, that person has 2 million followers. I really appreciate that he got somebody big to post. No, it only matters if they got a lot of followers and that person means something to me, right? And then if they have less followers, and that person means something to them is way more important than somebody who has a lot. So a good example is in the underground space. I've used this before. Ruby Rose, right, has a lot of clout within underground from a standpoint of there's like a lot of guys that, you know, she's like their dream girl or she's their baddie, and they know who she is from like just a cultural credibility. She's dated some of the guys that are like their favorite artists, etc. So that gives her a cultural cachet where she's not the same posting in your audience as just any other girl that you might define as good looking in your audience, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like there are in that world like IG models and things that have way more followers than she does, but like not even a tenth of the cultural relevancy that she has. Yeah,
exactly. So you have to understand, this is like, it's social media, which means, look, there's social climbing that exists in this whole space.
Yeah.
So you have to understand all these elements or just to like maximize them. But she also can post, again, some other random audience, and they're going to be like, I mean, you know, I might like the video, but I don't know who this is. So they're not even thinking about that. And then there's some people who are aware of her, and then if you post with her, they might be in uproar, and it might work against you because they look at her in a bad way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All of that stuff exists.
Yep.
You have to be tapped in with the audience that you're trying to contact to some degree. You might not have to be as tapped in as people like us, or as good at studying and learning new audiences and how they move as much as us, but you have to have a general idea of the people that you're trying to communicate with, and is lazy and entitled to think otherwise. A lot of times, you know, people spread a message to artists that, you know, it's okay, you're just an artist, and, you know, you don't need to think about the people you're trying to connect with. But this game is about humanity, right? This isn't a business move. Like, this isn't a marketing method. This is just understanding people and caring about people.
Yep.
So if you have a problem with that, then like there's more you should be thinking about. But just understanding to a degree, so you can have a little bit of empathy and understand how to connect a little bit. That's it. And to also allow you to judge if something's not going to work or going to work. It's going to save you a lot of time, headache, money. And then the ultimate backlash of building an audience that your audience ultimately realizes that you don't care about them, and then you lose that audience in a grand fashion. So, you know what I mean? Don't do that. One thing that we do need to consider within all this, when you look at all these factors, and somebody might line up perfectly, beautifully, but their consistency isn't all that high.
Oh, man.
They posted last week, and then 2 months from now, or they have sporadic posts. It's hard to really trust the performance. You can't just say your last 6 posts when your last 6 posts are over 6 months, right? What is all this? It's a very, very high risk, and in the vast majority of circumstances, I say just don't pay these people at all.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, I know me personally, if the influencer I want to work with hasn't posted anything in the last 30 days, I won't do it. 100%. And then even then I might go look to your point and be like, okay, he posted, what is it? I don't know what today is. But let's say he posted 30 days ago, but then his last post before that was like 4 months before that. And I'm still like, now let's let bro warm back up a little bit first.
Let him warm back up, because people get hot and cold. It's nothing against them, but there's moments where your algorithm ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You might catch somebody on a down, you might catch somebody on a up, right? And a lot of times when somebody's on a down, and not just from disappearing, but maybe they stay consistent, but they're still algorithmically on a down, they're going to want to hold that up price as long as possible. And you're going to have to negotiate with them. And it gets weird and touchy because you are valuing them, right? That's how it gets taken, the value of me. In the same way you as an artist think about the value of you. You're creating music, but you don't think about, oh, this is the value of my music, because my music is me. It's an extension of me. Well, this is me posting. This is what people are paying based on who I am. It's a very sensitive space. You want to navigate that conversation using these mechanisms to help you depersonalize it as much as possible. But also you got to stand firm on what you're willing to offer in that time. But some of these mechanisms also create flexibility where you might understand, like, okay, I'm building a little bit of relationship with this person right now, and they're a little bit on the down. Also, I see value more than just their peak views at all time. Mm-hmm. So I can flip this in a bunch of ways. I got in the door. We had a nice little posting relationship. And when they come back up, we already started to build and we're on the same page. There's a lot of ways to look at it, and you have to call this like as a game time decision as you navigate and communicate with these people.
Yeah. And I mean, even going back to your point too about just like knowing how to look at an influencer's audience and try to understand them as people. Like, we've had a couple rare scenarios where we did hire an influencer that hadn't posted in a while because we were like, hey, we want to be a part of that comeback post. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it hits, we know it's going to be crazy. We want this song to be, but like, that's a rare scenario. It's very few influencers I would do that with. You know
they have to have a legitimate cultural cachet within their niche. Again, you don't have to be like known to everybody as an artist. They don't have to be known to everybody as an influencer. They just need to be known to the person or the people that you are trying to impact. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like I always say, as an artist today, your goal is to be a legend to your fans. It don't matter anybody outside that bubble. Just be a legend to the people who love you, and then you'll win. Mm-hmm. Think about every other person who has a personality online. And are they a legend to somebody? Are there people who love them like so voraciously, for lack of better words? But it's a good word. And you know, you can bring them back. The extreme example of this was Rihanna when she performed at the Super Bowl. Okay. Ain't dropped music in forever, right? Okay. There was a huge moment of bringing her back. Like, she hadn't performed in forever, so there was a huge value and eyes that got on her just because she was, you know, doing something.
Whoa, yeah, bro, and they probably had to pay premium for that.
Nah, Super Bowl, man, we don't gotta pay nothing, bro.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, but Rihanna's that level though. Like, who else do a Super Bowl performance and still don't go out on tour after that?
That's a good point. Actually, damn, you're right. That's a crazy flex when you say it out loud like that. Like, I'm just gonna go home now. You know what I'm saying? This is fun.
I'm not gonna have this baby that I just let y'all know I have it. You know what I mean? But again, you have to look at what that means. And of course, you go down the spectrum to a different level of just maybe the audience that you're dealing with. But that's what it looks like, right? Now, it's not gonna look like that to everybody on that level. You just gotta make sure that looks like that to somebody on some level.
Facts.
And that's it. You got anything, Corey?
You know, the last thing I'll say is don't take influence negotiating too personal. Influencers are people. There's no real rules to this. They all, at the end of the day, charge what they think they're worth. And that very rarely is based on any real metrics or any tangible things to pull from, which is why we give you these information so you can make the tangible decisions. And, you know when you're looking at a good deal, a bad deal, you know what I'm saying, or a deal that you need to negotiate around.
Hey, that is a great point. Because they are oftentimes learning too, just like you.
Yeah, facts.
That's why it's helpful for you to have these measures to move within, and you can just say objectively yes or no based on if they get too far out of the comfort zone or, you know, these measures that you now created from this video, right? But they're going to go whatever and try to get as much as they can, just like anybody else will try to. You can't be mad at it, but you also don't got to participate in it.
Yeah, because I mean, and we've been talking about this video from the standpoint of like someone is trying to overcharge you. But I have been in plenty of situations with influencers where I was like, you should really be charging more. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you got 400,000 followers and you only want $150. I was prepared to give you 800 to a rack easy. You know what I'm saying? Based on what I saw. So then you as an artist in that situation have to decide, yo, should I tell bro that he really should be charging 300 even though he asked me for 50, maybe build some goodwill here, or do I take my, you know what I'm saying, $250 say, we ain't telling you what to do, you know what I'm saying? Every situation is unique and different.
Yes.
But it is a scenario that you will be in.
It is the truth. It is the truth. Only you can decide.
Only you can decide.
Make sure y'all use these methods. Let us know if y'all want to see more videos like this. Take some notes. Share with your peoples. And other than that, this is yet another episode of No Labels Necessary. I'm Brandman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
We out.
Peace.
Appreciate you for watching. If you like content like this, you'll love seeing our music marketing strategies that we use as an agency to actually blow up artists to millions and even billions of streams that are available for free at nolabelsnecessary.com. And the cool part about it that's going to really make you love it is we don't have to be all entertaining and add all this fluff just to get some views that we do on YouTube. We get straight to the information. There's play-by-play and courses that give you a breakdown of every step that you should do to get success. And you have the ability to have communication with us. We get on live talks, a lot of cool things for members, and it's free just to hop in. So check it out right now at nolabelsnecessary.com.